I found you!
Steve, what'd you think of Clerks 3?
What's Clerks?
Are you serious?
Never heard of it. Is it any good?
I mean, yeah, if you like vulgar meta commentary.
Oh, like Dogma?
I think I saw that. Yeah, same director. He kind of likes doing this sort of thing. He's been doing that the last couple of films he's made.
Does it work?
Does it work? Usually. He's gotten better at it.
So that doesn't answer my question. What is Clerks?
There's a video on YouTube of it, I'm sure.
Oh, found one. I don't know who this is, but maybe it'll be good.
Sure, why not? Roll it.
I don't deserve lube!
Paranoia.
I found you!
Occupation does not dictate behavior.
Take me, Satan!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I'm Jake. This is my collection. I'm your host, StormChild. Welcome back to AvidCat. I said that all out of the wrong order, but that's cool enough. Today, we're going to talk about Clerks 3. I really like this movie. It actually made me cry. We'll get to that. So I was talking to my friends about, movies and whatnot. And I brought up, hey, man, I watched Clerks 3. I really liked it. And then several of them at work went, what's Clerks 3? And honestly, that kind of hurt. I've been a big Kevin Smith fan for a long time. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which is, I'm not going to look for it. Jay and Bob Strike Back was the first movie I was ever introduced to these characters. And I fell in love instantly, which is how vulgar it was. So Clerks 3 is the continuation, the third movie, if you will, in the trilogy of Clerks. That's basically where his worldview, his askew view world manifests. Everything in a Kevin Smith movie centers around these movies, centers around Clerks and Dogma, and that's where you get Jersey Girl and Chasing Amy and Mallrats. I love all those. I completely went on a tangent, didn't I? I was introduced to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back because a friend of my dad's would just bring movies over, and he'd leave them there, and then me and my dad would go through them and watch them. That was back in high school, which was a few years ago, that's for sure. And it wasn't until I got into the military that I finally was able to buy Clerks, the first one. If you're wondering why I don't have Clerks 2 on here, because for some reason I lost the actual box, but I have the artwork for it, and it's in here. It's fine. It fell out. Don't put that in, or do. I don't care. But there were three completely different movies. Clerks 2, when it came out, I was overseas, and it was unashamedly just as vulgar as the other ones were. They're not intentionally trying to prod you hey, this is offensive. This is offensive. It's no, they're offensive people, but overall, most of them don't really mean any harm. They're just, it's just the culture they kind of grow up in. And also it's not a person movie. It's a caricature movie. You know what I'm saying? Let me describe the arcs of the three, and then you'll probably realize why when I got to Clerks 3, I think it's near perfect. It might even be by the time I actually get done explaining this. So Clerks 1 is a story. They remake it in this one, so don't worry about that part. It's a story of Dante and his best friend Randall, who works at the video store next to the convenience store. It's like a convenience store without the the gas station in front of it. They're all the way up in Jersey. Paranoia. I have no idea where I was. So the story of Clerks 1. There we go. The story of Clerks 1 is about Dante and his best friend Randall, and the stories that they go through in one insane day. That's the whole kind of like crux of the movie. Like it starts at the day and then it gets crazier and crazier and crazier until it just ends. It's kind of like an existential look at things where it just begins and it just ends and there's chaos in between. You can look at it as like that. It's shot like I mean, it's in black and white, but it's kind of like a weird security camera that you're watching everything through, which he brings up in this movie. Also, it's kind of like the movie Go, if you ever watched that. It's like it starts at one time and then it just like, tick, tick, you know. Also, Days of Confused. The second movie is about all the characters. It's not just Dante and Randall, but Jay and Bob, and like, what are they doing? What are they up to? It gets centered around one day, and it gets crazier and crazier as it involves a donkey show and all kinds of craziness, and it all falls apart at the end. And then, if you want to leave it on a happy note, if you're watching these movies, stop there. But if you want the heart ripped out of you, you gotta watch this one too, because it's also very, very good. The performances in that movie were just stellar. Clerks 3 is the movie about Randall and his best friend Dante. So starts with Dante and Randall, both of them, and then it's like passing off a torch, I guess. There are other characters in there like Elias and Dante's wife by the end of the second movie, and they're about to have a kid, and then you start the third movie, and then spoilers, they're both dead, and you're like, wow. that's a harsh way to start that. And to really understand like the Clerks 3 movie, don't watch it by itself. You have to watch the other two. If you commit to it, commit to all of it, because it's only in retrospect that the ending makes more sense. It also, if you've seen which I don't have it because I gave it back to my aunt, if you've never seen Cinema Paradiso, which I think I have an old review of, there's at the end of that movie, there's a projectionist scene where this kid who grew up in that cinema with this projectionist guy who would always cut out the kissing scenes out of movies, he finally finds the reel after that projectionist death of all the kissing scenes, and it's just like one long montage of just one makeout sesh of all the Hollywood's greatest, and it's actually a very sweet ending. That kind of happens in this one when Dante starts watching the fully finalized movie after Randall. We're going back to the beginning of the movie now. We're going back to the beginning of that one. Not the first one, this one. Stay with me. ADHD is a nightmare. Trust me. And I don't write these things down. Tell me if that's a bad plan. So in this movie, because this is the review, I'm not reviewing those two, but in order to understand those, there's like 3 hours. You can go watch it. So this one, yeah, it starts off with Welcome to the Black Parade. Not a happy song to start off a movie, because his all of his movies kind of like, the first one feels more rebellious, and then the second one is just like, oh yeah, okay, like there's a change in the air, and then this one is like, okay, you're about to make me cry, you son of a bitch. Dante opens up the shop. You see that there's a picture of his wife as she's passed away, and you don't know what happened. Randall comes in. He works at the convenience store now. The next store, which used to be the video store, is now a pot store run by Jay and Silent Bob, who are usually so stoned they forget they actually own the store. And Randall comes in and starts messing around with Dante, even though, he knows like what his best friend's gone through. They've been together, through thick and thin. And then Elias comes in. Elias from the second movie, the very religious Jesus freak, which I think is the term that he uses, because he's very, very much like, yay, Jesus. And it's fine, cool, Jesus, whatever, I don't care. He's super into it. And now he has his own Silent Bob, played by, I believe is Kevin Smith's daughter's boyfriend at the time. Maybe still. I don't know. I don't keep up with this crap. But he does a great Silent Bob impression while just being silent. And then at the end, obviously, he speaks up, and it's great. Elias and him go through very numerous costume changes after the thing that happens next, which is Randall, while annoying Elias because he thinks it's funny, has a heart attack. It kind of, it's not as good as the ending, which also has a heart attack in it. I don't know, that part, it hits different. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they're very similar, and not every heart attack is exactly the same, and they should be treated, with respect, because your heart's like, guess what? Not the thing that keeps you living. Yeah, no, I'm done now. I'm just gonna like strangle you for no reason. So he gets they bring him to the hospital. Elias is freaking out, and so he like makes a deal with the devil or something to bring back, Randall. Randall is going through a whole thing where he's worrying about his small wiener, and he's just like, nah, it's not as big as I keep telling people it is. At the whole bit. I think Tracy Ullman is the doctor. She's fucking hilarious. After the whole surgery and all that goes down, Dante kind of brings up to Randall. He's like, hey man, like, why don't you do something with your life instead of like, you feel like you're going nowhere, because, Randall goes through this whole soliloquy, well, more like an out loud monologue to himself, but also the room. Kind of like what we do here. He starts to realize that he's gotten old, that he doesn't know what to do with his life anymore. Like, he's just working some fucking nothing job. Yeah, he runs it now, but has he really done anything meaningful towards furthering, himself and also others around him, I guess? Because Randall, honestly, selfish as he is, he does lend his hand to it. I think my camera turned off. Hold on. Fuck you, camera. So where were we? Right. Work thing I took off to do this video. Why? Because sometimes you just need a fucking mental break, man. Or you will have a mental break. So, in order to stop Dante from having a mental break, he suggests him, hey man, why don't you, you watch so many films. Why don't you make your own? And Randall's like, okay, that's a crazy idea, but sure, we can try to pull that off. So, Randall starts typing it all up, and it's all the stuff from the previous movies, which is why it's so funny. Because if you don't know why 37 is funny, 37 in a row, you don't know why that's fun. Like, well, what's this? Like, that's a whole plot line. We'll get to that. So they need to find somebody to shoot the movie. And where they're gonna shoot the movie, and where is it gonna be set. So he figures, let's just do it right in the convenience store. Uses all those stories, and gets Jay and Silent Bob to let them film in the video store, and also they get to shoot the movie. Silent Bob wants to shoot in black and white because he thinks that adds more to the security camera, and also like making it intentionally not what other people want to see. It's a whole artsy fucking crap. He explains it very well. And throughout all this, like, Elias keeps changing from like one satanic thing to another. At one point he's fucking Blade Runner. And meanwhile, start over and make words. Dante, on the other hand, has been relegated to the role of producer, and he doesn't really know what that means. He's trying to get money and trying to make sure like everything's going right. It's a very meta movie, which has been a trend for Kevin Smith for the last 2 movies, and I'm fine with that because he's a director who's made movies. He's had his horror phase, he's had his corporate phase, he's had his like artistic phase. So they started trying to get all the people together, and Dante starts kind of like freaking out. He goes to his wife's grave and has this conversation where she's like, "No, dude, just move on. You're hurting yourself. Like, why are you doing this? I know you can do better. I know you for who you are, deep down," and all that kind of crap. And I don't know why they chose to like just axe her off along with the kid. Like, I mean, sure, whatever, but knife isn't fair. But damn, like your main soldier in your franchise is just hurt so deeply. And then his ex-girlfriend to show up. 37 shows up. They kind of have a rekindling after she yells at him. and says horrible things, and she's like apologizes, and her life isn't all that great, and it's more of a realist comedy than anything. Problem, I think, with this movie for most people, besides the ending, which I'll get to, is the fact that it doesn't take place in one day. It's spread out over like a month or so, or indeterminate time. Whereas the first two movies were like one day this craziness, one day and this craziness. This one, yeah, we're going to extend it a little longer, which means like that might be maybe like he's just as a director, like doing a better format. You just couldn't figure out how to tie it all into one thing. There's a lot going on in this movie. I'm just like kind of boiling it down. Him talking to his dead wife in a cemetery, and then going into movies, and then freaking out at movies, and then him getting drunk, and then yelling at his friend, and then going on the scene anyway, and then letting out the fucking heart-wrenching like explanation of like it was a drunk driver, even though he's drunk, which is a bit ironic, and he's yelling at Randall, and Randall it's the scene in Clerks 1 where Dante's laying down on the ice cream machine. He's just like, man, when are you gonna shit? When are you gonna shit or get off the pot, man? It's the salsa shark scene. Dante just goes off script and just starts yelling at him and gets so wound up that he ends up having a heart attack. And then Dante is laying in the hospital, and Randall can't sit still for one fucking second. He's just like, hey, Elias, you take care of this. I'm gonna go work on my movie. I gotta go finish it because it's nearly done, apparently. Elias is like, dude, what the fuck, man? Your best friend is in the fucking hospital. He took, money from Mrs. Big Clit, who you didn't like, who you ended up like accidentally. Well, I mean, he knocked up his boss, and then she got pregnant, and then she found out during the donkey show. The second movie's crazy. So Randall's just like, whatever, man. Like, I'm gonna go work on my movie. Elias is pissed off, righteously so. And somehow he figures out how to edit an entire movie in the span of like his friend like dying and not dying. I don't know. Maybe it's like Stephen King time logic where it's just like, nah, it'll end when I say it ends. You're like, can you write less? And so he goes back to Dante in the hospital with his laptop and shows him the movie. And as he's watching the movie, it's not the movie they filmed. It's like the first movie. They used those clips for the first movie. But it's not the movie they filmed, but it's the movie that's the truth. And it's who they are. Yeah, it goes into that kind of territory near the end. At least it did for me. And then Dante's sitting there in his own empty theater, and his ghost wife shows up. And he's like, hey, don't you want to stay for the end? He's like, nah, I trust the director. First time I watched it, didn't get me. I was fine. Just like, oh, really? I was more pissed off than like, he was like, no, damn it. Why did you kill off Dante? That's bullshit, man. It's your fucking like your main character. And then the second time I watched it, I unraveled it and it fucking broke me. And not too many things can do that because you spend so much time with those characters, especially like, you watch them and then like the next one comes out years later and you become kind of hooked on like it's a cult thing, classic in that respect. Like you got Clerks 1, you're holding out for it, and you watch Clerks 2, you're holding out for a thing. Same way with like Half-Life, I guess, for some people. You just like you replay the old games because like that's what you want more of, and then they give you a third when you're like that's not what you want, and then you play it again and you're like damn it, they might be right, they're on to something. It's not always true for games anyway, or movies for that matter. And then it spans into Randall working there with Elias, and Big Clit shows up demanding her money, also played by Kevin Smith's wife. If you don't know why I'm saying her name with Big Clit, it's kind of messed up because she didn't deserve all the hate that she gets in that movie. Even though she is manipulating Dante, Dante does not learn a damn thing. First movie, he's with this chick, and then he ends up like immediately as his old ex shows up, he wants to go bang her, and then she ends up like banging a dead dude in the bathroom, and then she goes to a mental hospital, and you don't know what happens with him and that previous girlfriend who brought him lasagna to work. you don't really hear about much about her until this movie. In the second movie, he's got a girlfriend. They're going to move to Florida. They're going to get married. And he's already knocked his boss up. It's like, okay, dude. And then the third movie happens. The boss and the the baby are deceased. He's moaning over not bemoaning, but mourning his deceased wife and seeing her ghost come out, come talk to him. And then his ex shows up, and then he ends up kind of getting back. Well, he does, or he like fucks her in the car. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my hands. It's a good movie. Dante does not learn a damn thing, really. I mean, he kind of does. I mean, his exposition really was only to help Randall in the long run, I think. Like, continuing with just Randall would be interesting. Seeing as how, I think he was one of the main people from the first one who didn't want to ever be an actor. He's got the role of, he has to do it and hang out with Elias. He didn't have to, but he honestly likes Elias as much as he gives him shit. It's a good movie. It's real sad, especially when you get to the end, or what did to him being buried, and he's like, to quote The Departed, "You're not supposed to be here today." So I mean, do I have a rating scale? Yeah, all of them 10 out of 10. Are you kidding me? Clerks 3 is amazing. It recontextualizes everything else that they've done. Doesn't actually fix any time loops or some kind of bullshit. No. Are they tied that way? No. It's just, this is one day, which was technically a bunch of different days compiled into one. And getting the people who actually were in the first movie back in this one to be the customers, and my camera died again, goddammit. Anyway, I'm done talking anyway. That's anyway, too many anyways. Anyway. So what do I give them out of 10? 10 out of 10. They're good. They're great movies. Rating systems are kind of stupid anyway. Is it vulgar? Yes. Is it kind of perverted? Intentionally so, but in order to, one, elicit a response, and two, occupation does not dictate behavior. And that comes through, I think, with what he does. Sure, he's just a dude who likes filming shit. So he made a movie so he can, film more shit. Kevin's gone through a bunch of ups and downs, weight-wise, too. Jason as well. I'm just looking at him on the covers. That's what I'm doing over here. That's another thing I can add on to. I don't know where it is. An Evening with Kevin Smith.
I found you.
A 3 Evening with Kevin Smith. Why are they loose in there? He has several other, I'm Fat and 40, a bunch of other stuff. He does a lot of stand-up, and I think he's really, really funny at it. So that's basically my review of Clerks 3. It made me cry. It's a 10 out of 10. What else do you want? I'm trying to work on a new setup. I might have to talk faster because this camera died. Thank you so much for watching. Please be safe out there. I will see you beautiful people in the next one. And Carl. Yeah! I don't know. Later, guys.
You piece of shit. You. That's fairly accurate. I didn't know about it until now. How are we still friends if we don't know what Clerks is? It beats me, bro. Should we start with the first one? Yeah. Alright. Different franchise. Shut up and just watch the movie. 37?
Stop it! I have to fuck Satan!